Hello and welcome to episode 5 of the Manticore Media Podcast. My name is Michael Navarro. I'm joined today with Tim Tolley. He's a guy I've known pretty much my whole life, almost 40 years. He was the best man at my wedding. We've gotten into a little bit of trouble together, not too much. I don't ever remember meeting your family. That's how long I've known y'all.
Yeah, thinking back, it's just been so long. Same. I don't know when it happened, but you were there.
Yeah. Probably the best thing that ever happened to y'all, right?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Got you on this show today.
Regretting it 40 years later.
We're not that old. Well, I'm not that old yet.
Thanks, buddy.
So later on in the episode, we're going to talk about one of my favorite horror films, Waxwork. It's a movie I first saw with you and your family. But before we get started, let's just catch up because I don't remember when's the last time we saw each other.
Probably a month ago.
Months ago,
at least
yeah.
a month ago.
Yeah, you been in any movies lately?
No, I did see a movie called The Last Shift about a cop spending the night in a police station that was going out of business. I would recommend it to anyone. It was a really good movie.
Thriller?
Never heard of it.
Thriller or horror?
It's supposed to be a horror. It was good. I never heard of it before. Just found it on TV and watched it. It was all the kids enjoyed it. It was really good.
You watch it on demand or how?
Yeah.
Comcast?
DirecTV.
DirecTV? I'll see if I can check that out. Well, that's good because that keeps with our Halloween theme this month. I saw A Simple Favor. Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively. The wife and I went to see it. Anna Kendrick's a housewife. Well, she's a widowed housewife, and she has her own little YouTube channel. And she meets Blake Lively, who's like this rich, mysterious woman.
Okay,
Their kids
yeah.
go to school together, and Blake Lively just disappears.
Yeah.
And, man, that was a cool movie. I was surprised. It took a lot of twists and turns that I didn't expect.
Really?
Yeah, y'all should check it out, or maybe when it goes in the dollar movies, check it out then. But it's good.
All right, we'll do it.
You have to check it out. And so it's a Sunday. We're recording a little early this week, and it looks like the Texans might have actually won their first game today if they held on to their 28-10 lead.
They had a good lead, but that doesn't mean anything. There was still more than 3 minutes to go. So.
We'll have to check it during break. And it looks like the Cowboys are winning. They're playing the Lions, so happy about that.
I don't know how good the Lions are, but I heard the Cowboys ain't doing too good.
No, nobody in Texas is doing good right now.
I'm hopeful for next week.
Well, I don't know. We should try to go to the game.
Oh, no. I ain't that hopeful.
Hey, the Lions beat the Patriots last week, so.
Well, that's something. That's something.
Yeah, but
I like their head coach. He was the guy that came from the Patriots.
Yeah, what's his name? The backwards hat guy.
Yeah, I don't know his name.
Furia or something like that.
I thought he would do good. We'll see.
He didn't do too good at the beginning of the season. I think Green Bay came back on him from a deficit. That was when Aaron Rodgers got hurt, and he came back and forgot who they lost to in week 1. And they're pitiful.
I was hoping he'd do better. Detroit needs a winning season like Cleveland does.
Oof, yeah, and the Bills.
Of course, the Texans. We could use a winning season ourselves.
For those of you following the Manticore Media Fantasy Football League, Tim is one of our teams. Which team are you?
The Wolfpack.
You're the Wolfpack. Okay.
Look at the record and find a better record. Tell you who I am.
I'm Blue Mountain State. I'm 2-1, and the Vikings defense has just been destroying me the past few weeks. I don't know if I'm going to get up to 3-1. I'm playing a guy who hasn't won a game yet, and when I left the house, he was beating me, and Vikings gave me a -6 score on defense. I'm like, what is this crap? I can't believe this.
Yeah, this was my first year to do fantasy football, and it's interesting. I like it. I'm not doing very good, but I like it. I think maybe I'll be 2-2 at the end of this week. So,
well, what's funny is the guy who's undefeated is actually a teenager.
Really?
Yeah,
of course he is.
It's funny. It's Dylan. It's Scott, my friend Scott's son. Scott's in the league too, and Dylan is just destroying us all.
Yeah, that's no surprise. I mean, they rule everything nowadays.
Yeah, I guess so.
I hate kids.
All right. Well, on that note, let's take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll review the 1988 horror classic, Waxwork.
Awesome.
Femme Fatale is the fully equipped boutique-style gym and fitness club that is taking a new and innovative approach to women's health and fitness. Our main goal is to provide a comfortable and completely judgment-free venue for women of all ages and fitness levels to come exercise and feel like a positive fit family. We understand the busy lifestyle of today's women, so we also provide 30 minutes to 1 hour fitness classes, including the newest trends like boot camps, yoga, and body bar. We also offer a break room for school-aged children to hang out, as well as a tanning bed and sauna. We are located at 689 FM 517 West in Dickinson, Texas, and our phone number is 281 678 8037. Mention the Libra Lounge and get $10 off your initiation fee. We look forward to growing our fit family with you.
And welcome back to the Manticore Media Podcast. We're going to get started today talking about one of my favorites, not the best, but one of my favorite horror movies of all time is the 1988 release Waxworks. It was directed by Anthony Hickox, who directed Hellraiser 3. He's from London. He's still mostly active, but it's I think I look mainly like in the Philippines. I haven't seen him do anything in the States in a while. He's also the writer, which I'm sure you'll have plenty of comments about that. It stars Zach Gilligan, who you might remember as the main guy in Gremlins. Deborah Foreman, who was the Valley Girl in Valley Girl, the Nicolas Cage movie.
Yeah, I don't think I watched that one.
I didn't see it. Just when I was looking up the research for this, I saw that she was the Valley Girl. Michelle Johnson, who was in Blame It on Rio. She was the teenage girl who had an affair with her best friend's, her dad's best friend, played by a very much older Michael Caine. David Warner, who is the creepy curator guy. He's been quite a few things. Most recently, he played Van Helsing in the Showtime series Penny Dreadful. We have Dana Ashbrook, the people who follow Twin Peaks. He played Bobby Briggs. And there's another guy, the friend who his girlfriend chickens out. He's Eric Brown, and you might recognize him as the grandson in Mama's Family.
I just watched the episode of Mama's Family the other day. I can't picture his face, but
yeah, he's kind of has like a mullety curl in this movie, so it's kind of hard to recognize him. And of course, you have was he the butler, or was he the guy that opens the door, the little person? His name is Mahali Michu Mezaros. He was in Big Top Pee-wee, and he actually played Alf in the Alf TV show.
Really?
He was the guy in the costume.
What character are you playing Big Top?
I don't remember. I just saw that was one of his credits. He was Big Top. I don't remember a little person in. Well, Big Top, is that the one where he's like goes to the carnival?
Yeah, he goes to the circus or carnival, whatever. Yeah, I don't remember that character, but in this one, he was one of my favorite characters.
Oh, for sure. When he would you say he would do his bow?
His little stiff bow and his hair flopping around.
Yeah.
Especially standing next to the big giant butler.
The guy who was kind of like a lurch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the movie starts out. There's a group of six. Were they in high school or were they in college? I didn't really understand.
I thought they were in high school, but of course, like most 80s movies or TV shows, they look like they were out of college.
Yeah. Then it was at least a boarding school. It definitely wasn't a public high school.
I'm not even really paying much attention to the school itself.
Yeah, it was real. You could tell they were rich kids. And so we have the two characters of China and Sarah. China's kind of the what was the term you used?
The bad girl.
She was the bad girl. Sarah was the good, innocent girl. And they're walking down the street, and they notice was it a house they had never seen before, or they just never noticed?
I think it said Waxworks on the front.
It said Waxworks, but they either never noticed the house or they never noticed that it was a Waxworks.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one. It didn't really specify.
Yeah, and they're kind of drawn to it. And they walk up to the front gate, and this man appears out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
He's the curator of the Waxworks, and he wants to invite them to a midnight screening. He can only have six people come along in the party. He says, don't bring any more than 6. And of course, what are they going to do? They run back to school and tell their friends that, hey, we got invited. Let's go check out this place. So they They head over that night around midnight. 6 of them get up to the door. They think it just opens up on its own, right? But it's the little guy.
Yep, it's a little guy.
The little guy lets them in. Of course, 2 of them chicken out.
Is that they chickened out when they saw the little guy, right?
I believe so.
Or when the door opened by itself.
The door, yeah.
Yeah.
That was one of the girls chickens out, and her boyfriend just uses her an excuse
To chicken out.
to chicken out. So they leave. They get in there, and who goes first? With their jerky friend, right?
Goes into
the gallery to look at the.
I don't know who goes in first. I know he's the first one in.
Yeah. So what happens is they have this jerky friend. He's smoking a cigarette, and he goes to light his cigarette, and his lighter flies out of his hand. Looks more like he threw it. That was the worst accident that I'd ever seen of dropping your lighter, and it falls into one of the wax displays. And he reaches in to grab it, and what is it, like a field?
Yeah, like a force field or some kind of a teleportation field or something.
Yeah, it pulls him in, and he finds himself out in the woods. What's it, like the 1800s? He's wearing the 1800s clothes, and he has long hair. And he sees, was that a barn or what was that?
Yeah, a cabin. It was a cabin.
It was a cabin, yeah. So he sees this cabin. He's trying to figure out what's going on. He walks into it.
I like where he looks around. He's like, well, cabin. That's it.
Yeah.
Only thing around, so that's where I'm going.
Yeah, because remember he says, did y'all spike my drink?
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, I don't drink anymore.
Quit drinking.
Yeah, I quit
That's
drinking.
right.
And he walks in, and he sees what you notice was the guy's name from Indiana Jones?
Yeah, I'm not sure his name.
Jonathan Rhys Davies.
Is that his name?
Yeah, he played in Sala in Indiana Jones,
Mm-hmm.
and he was the dwarf in the Lord of the Rings.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't notice that.
He was in Sliders, that TV show with Jerry O'Connell.
I don't know if I watched that one
They
either.
went through different dimensions or something.
But yeah, I was surprised when I saw him. I thought, hey, I know that. That's one guy I know.
Yeah. And what does he do? He's all freaking out, telling him, "You gotta leave.
Yeah,
you gotta
he's
leave."
trying to get him to go away. I guess he knows the moon's coming, this full moon, and then and he looks like basically it's too late, and he does the worst werewolf transformation I've ever seen in my life. It was pretty good.
What'd he do?
It was like a a seizure maybe. I mean, I don't know what to compare it to. He just kind of hugged himself and twisted.
Real melodramatic.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah, so he turns into a werewolf, bites the kid. Before an older guy and like his son come in, and they end up shooting the first werewolf, and they ended up shooting the friend.
What did you think of the werewolf?
The werewolf, he was okay looking. I remember seeing this as a kid, and that was probably the scariest part of the movie for me, was the werewolf when I was a kid. But looking at him now, he's a little cheesy.
That was a terrible werewolf.
He looks like a big rug. Yeah.
Yeah, he looks like his ears were straight up. He looked like something off of Scooby Doo or something that they'd pull the mask off of.
Yeah.
It was bad. The other transformation was a lot better. You know, when the kid, after he got bit, started turning, it was a lot better than the first one. But one of the things I noticed the most was when the old guy drops the bullets, no panic. No panic to pick them up. No, he's just like, oh, let me get those. You know, it's pretty bad. It was funny, though. It made it humorous.
And so didn't the werewolf end up ripping off the old man's head? Or was it the other guy? He ripped off the other guy's head.
It was the other guy. I don't know if it was his son or just the helper, but
yeah,
it was the other guy. Because the old man's the one that shot the kid.
Yeah, what was his name? It was like Jason or something.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
The jerk.
The jerk. That's the only way I could. Tommy. No, Tony. His name was Tony.
Tony.
Yeah,
Tony.
Yeah, so I guess after that, we're back in the waxwork in the gallery, and they're walking around, and of course the bad girl China is drawn to what looks like a man in a Victorian cape hunched over on a stairwell, and she finds herself drawn into the scene as well. And this one, this was the grossest one that I remember as a kid.
You know, realistically, this is the only part I remember from before I watched it again.
Oh, really?
Was that part at the dinner table?
Okay, yeah. So she walks in. There's a bunch of people at the table, and they're eating, and they ask her to join them, and they give her steak tartare.
Mm-hmm.
I always remember that steak tartare, and it was raw meat. And I remember their butler comes and pours the gravy on top, and it's just thick red blood.
Yeah, it was disgusting.
She sits there and she's just chewing on it, and you can see it. It's like, and all the other ones they start eating theirs, and they're just like,
yeah. And he puts a stop. They go to devour it, and he makes them, I don't know, he claps or slaps the table or something, makes them slow down and eat normal. And it was a disgusting scene. And where he pours the blood in was just horrible.
Yeah, so of course you find out that these are vampires, and they didn't come out and say Count Dracula, but they called him the Count, and he wants to take China for his queen, and we didn't really know if he did or not, right? When the scene ends,
yeah, it's just him biting her.
He bites her, yeah, but you never see her die. You never see her.
No, that's where it
transform.
freezes back to wax. There was a lot to that one. I guess it's the sun vampire tries to bite her, and
yeah,
and they go into the room where her fiance is, and he's partially eating, his legs gone.
That's right. That's right. Because whenever the people get drawn into this scene, they become that character, and they don't always remember who they really are. She went in there with her fiance. Yeah, I always remember that scene as well, where the guy's laying on the table, and he's got his half of his left leg is just like cut down to the bone.
Yeah, and that that was probably one of the worst scenes in the whole movie, where the son or the younger vampire tries to get to her, and he can't get over he's a vampire. Come on, he can't get over the body that's just laying there, half eaten, and she's not moving from one side to the other. She's just standing there screaming, and he tries to bite her and bites the statue. I would, that scene alone, I would recommend somebody watching this movie. It was just that different. I'm not gonna say bad. It was just different.
Yeah, well, I remember that she kills him by grabbing, like, there was a random wooden chair in there. Coincidentally, she breaks it against the wall and stabs him with it.
No, what did she do to him? She took the two knives.
That's
she
right.
made a cross out of them, which somehow that worked.
Well, because that's her fiance says you either have to decapitate them, put a stake through their heart, or hold a crucifix to their head.
Yeah, and she puts the knives in a cross, puts it to his head, and his head explodes.
It explodes,
right?
That's right.
And then the three women come in, and one of my favorite deaths in this whole movie was the champagne bottles.
I don't remember that one.
She throws the woman against the wine rack or whatever, and the champagne, like 4 or 5 champagne bottles come through her, and
they shoot out.
Yeah, the tops blow off, and that was one of my favorite scenes. It was great.
That was probably my favorite of all the different displays that they go into.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
for sure.
That vampire, I don't know what else he played in or how famous he was. As a handsome guy.
The Count?
Yeah, the Count. He was a handsome guy.
Yeah, because she was drawn to him not only before she got sucked into the scene, but even when she was in there.
Yeah. The fiance tells her, even with the young vampire, don't look into his eyes. So I guess they did have that power, even though it seemed like that was about the only power they had. That younger vampire was terrible. He just didn't do anything.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's kind of a new trope in vampire movies where they can run fast, and because I don't remember that when we were younger, that the vampires could run, like Superman or the Flash.
Yeah, you're right. I only remember them being able to turn into mist or a bat, especially a bat.
Werewolf. Yeah,
something like that.
They certainly didn't glow in the sun or whatever that.
Oh, the sparkle.
The sparkle. No, they didn't sparkle back in our day.
Yeah, that's for dang sure.
So after we don't know what happened to China, we're thrown back in the gallery with the main guy, Zach from Gremlins. His character's name is Mark, and the innocent girl, Sarah. And he's trying to find their friends. And of course the little man and the lurch guy appear, and they know something's up, so they get out of there. And Mark is mad because he thinks China took off with Tony, the friend that got in the vampire in the werewolf scene, and he's had a thing for her, and she didn't want to be with him, or she's making her rounds. That's why we call her the bad girl. And then the thing that really threw me off is, like, so we know the innocent girl, we know Sarah is into Mark, But then for some reason, as they're leaving, he goes to kiss her. Like out of nowhere. He never expressed any interest in her. He goes to kiss her. But then she says one of the dumbest lines in the movie. She stops him. She says, I think you're attractive, but I'm looking for something else.
It didn't stand out to me, man.
You didn't think so? Just her delivery. It was like the worst acting.
Oh, well, yeah. If you put it, it was very fitting if it was that bad.
Yeah. So they make their way back to school the next day. Can't find their friends. Mark says, hey, if they don't show up by noon, I'm calling the cops.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, he calls the cop, goes down to the station to report it. This dude is like, what are you on, man? This is the dumbest thing. I have no time for you because there have been 14 people in the last 2 weeks that have disappeared. I need to focus on that case. We don't have time to worry about the wax museum down the road.
What did you think about that scene in the cop's office? I mean, it was, at first he's talking to him and the cop obviously doesn't believe him. And then, the main character, he starts yelling at the cop. I mean, it's real quick, real over dramatic.
Kind of out of place.
It was over the top. Well, I'm not going to say it was out of place. It was bad acting.
It was bad. The cop was pretty bad. What really blew my mind though, so when he finally convinces him, the cop goes down to the waxwork, but he takes Mark with him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what cop takes some teenage kid to go investigate possible disappearances that he's reporting? You don't do that.
I guess maybe before that, and I wrote it down. But the bully, the football player kid that was bullying him in the stands.
Yeah.
Did you notice when I guess it happened right before that, he goes to the payphone to call that girl.
China, yeah.
And he's wearing, did you see that shirt he's wearing? That big blue shirt that says karate.
No.
Real big. I mean, huge. It's so big you can't even see the E on the end of karate.
I didn't notice that.
Next time you watch it, take a look. Because that, with the other detective that went with him,
yeah,
with his yellow blazer and his sunglasses.
Yeah.
That was just the most beautiful 80s costumes I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, so like we said, China makes her rounds, and she started the movie. She had just gone out with the high school quarterback or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted to go to the waxwork, but they were told only 6 people. And I don't even remember. He doesn't really play much into this movie. He's just a throwaway character.
Did they kill him?
I don't remember. I don't think he ever.
He went to the waxwork looking for her.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You know what?
I don't remember if they killed him or if the cop ran him off. I don't remember.
I bet he does. I'll check out the notes because I know because the cop goes there, doesn't see anything. He just sees the displays. He even looks at the werewolf exhibit.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say he dropped something in there as well. And he goes to the vampire.
Well, that was when he came back. He went into the vampires,
time.
yeah. But the first time, remember, he wasn't there. He went in, he tried to light the cigarette, and the guy took the cigarette, put it out. They looked at one thing, and then he left.
But he actually entered it, right?
No, that was
on the first
when he
time?
came back. Yeah.
Okay.
And I thought it was weird that, he just, I guess time constraints or whatever, but he really, when he went to initially investigate, he was there for about 2 minutes and left.
No, you know what? He did go to the vampire scene and he scraped her cheek.
That's when he came back.
No, it's the first time. Yeah, I got my nose.
All right.
Yeah, he goes back the second time because we'll get to that.
But yeah, when he scrapes off her cheek, what do you think about that? Where it looked like, muscle or tissue or whatever it was
underneath it.
Yeah,
that was weird.
That's gross.
It was gross, but they did a pretty good job because it looked like he was really scraping off wax. And did we get a payout on that? What was he taking it for?
Just to see, I guess, if it was a person, if it was all wax, maybe, I don't know.
Because there was no DNA testing back then, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like he could have tested it for her DNA.
See, and that's why I thought it was later, because I thought it's when he went back and he was picturing the missing person, and then he'd see their character in wax, missing person, and he was going through all the different characters.
See, it's from this first time that happens, because between him going this first time and going the second time, that's when Mark and Sarah go down to the mysterious Sir Wilhelm's house. Wilfred, Sir Wilfred's house.
Is that the guy in the wheelchair?
That's the guy in the wheelchair. You come to find out that Sir Wilfred was friends with Mark's grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
Mark's grandfather had been murdered back in the 40s or 50s, and they both collected like mystical antiques and artifacts and stuff. And you find out that there was a man who killed Mark's grandfather back in the day, and he had never aged.
Mm-hmm.
And he was trying to collect all these artifacts from the most evil men who had ever lived, because he was trying to do a voodoo ritual that said that if you have a wax figure of these people and you had actual property of theirs, you could bring them back to life and unleash hell in the world.
Yeah, that seemed like it was the overall goal of the movie, is to, I guess, finish each prop, and then at that point it would break the curse or open the curse or start the curse
up, yeah, and unleash it all in the world. So he tells Mark and Sarah this, and for some reason they decide to go back to the Waxwork. I guess he thought he could save them, right? Mark thought he could save them.
I think he went back to verify that they were there, that something was going on.
Oh yeah.
He was trying to figure it out, and he knew it had something to do with the Waxwork.
And he knew that he had to burn it down.
Yes.
Wilfred said you have to burn it down.
That's right.
But while they're there, Sarah gets drawn into the scene of the Marquis de Sade.
Yeah.
Because she's drawn to him. She gets in there and he just whips her and beats her, and she's forgotten who she is. Mark gets pushed into was it not Nightmare on Elm Street? It was Night of the Living Dead type of zombie type of scene.
Who died in the mummy's tomb?
The mummy's tomb, that happens later. That's the
cop.
That's
right?
the cop, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Yeah, so Mark and Sarah go back. She gets stuck in the Marquis de Sade. He gets stuck in Night of the Living Dead. He remembers that Wilfred told them that if you don't believe in it, they can't hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
So he ends up cutting off one of the hands of the zombies, which plays a big role later in the film. And him and that hand, they both get out. He makes his way to go try to find Sarah, and eventually the cop comes back.
Yeah. Yeah. One of my favorite parts, though, is when he's in with the zombies and he realizes they can't hurt him, mm-hmm. and he starts to tell them, "You can't do anything to me." They just all kind of start looking at each other and they look real confused, like, what's going on? And to me, that was classic 80s horror.
Yeah.
I mean, it fits so well with this movie, and it was one of the funniest scenes to me, where they're just all looking at each other like, okay, I don't know what to do now. They're just standing there in a group looking at each other. Yeah, and then he sticks the hand up on top of the fence on the gate.
Yeah.
I didn't understand that. Just looking for a place to keep it from moving,
well,
I guess.
I thought he was going to it was like had a pointed top on the fence.
Mm-hmm.
He was going to try to climb over it and use that so he didn't get stuck.
No, I thought he was just putting it up there so it wouldn't crawl away.
Oh, maybe so. That's probably... Well, no, he didn't need it yet. He didn't need that hand for anything.
I didn't think he ever needed that hand. Did he?
You'll find out later. So, of course, the cop goes back. He gets pushed in. But see, what always made me curious is, like, why didn't he end up in the vampire scene when he scraped the girl's cheek?
Yeah, I'd put that in my notes too. But then you said something earlier about once it claims a life, then it won't react.
Right.
So
yeah, because they need to.
Each one has to claim a life.
Each scene has to claim a life before they can unleash hell. So if it's already been claimed, you're not going to get stuck in there.
Yeah, that's it was. I had the same question, like, why didn't he go into it? But that makes sense.
Yeah, so this is probably like my third or fourth time watching the movie, and I just now realize.
No, that's a shame that you've watched it that many times.
Well, like twice as a kid, twice as an adult.
Yeah, okay. I'm sure.
Yeah.
You're probably gonna go home and watch it again right now.
No, maybe so. But you like the mummy scene, though, right? With the cop.
Well, the thing I liked about it was that when I don't even remember how he killed the cop, but the woman that was in there,
mm-hmm.
He picks her up over his head and he throws her in, and the mummy inside opens his arms and catches her.
So the cop ends up in a mummy scene, and he's there with like a party of treasure hunters. and
Yeah.
they want to take the pharaoh's treasure, whatever it is, and they open up a tomb on the ground, slide it open. They pulled out the trinket, and a trinket in there, and it has a little note that says, "You've just unleashed the curse of whatever." And then for some reason, not the mummy in the ground, but a mummy from another sarcophagus against a wall pops out and comes and attacks them and kills all of them. Ends up throwing the cop and one of the women in the party in the tomb with the mummy that was in the ground and closes the lid on them.
Did you notice though when he throws them in there, the mummy's like that, and he opens his
He
arms?
opens his arms and just like envelops them. It was, I don't know. I didn't really get that one.
I think it was just one more little story to do.
Yeah.
It didn't really fit. It was a way to kill the cop, better than the other cop. The other cop died when the big guy snapped his neck.
That's right. So he went in there with a couple other cops. One of them gets killed by the big Lurch character, and the curator gets all mad at him and yells. He's like, "You idiot!"
He starts crying.
Yeah, he started crying. It's like, "You idiot! They have to be claimed by the scene. We can't kill them ourselves, and we're running out of time. It's almost midnight. We got to get this ritual done."
That's what he gets for wearing that jacket and them sunglasses in the house with his little gun.
So eventually, all of the rituals do happen. All of the scenes claim a life because the two friends that chickened out at the beginning of the movie end up going back in there. I don't remember what reason.
Yeah, I don't either.
And we don't see them actually getting killed. We just see them being pushed into the scene. So the female friend, she goes into the Marquis de Sade's, and she gets claimed there. And then the friend, he ends up in the Phantom of the Opera. And we just see his dead body appear.
Yeah,
in
they
the
just
stairwell.
appear. Yeah, it was a quick and easy way to finish off the curse.
Yeah, because Mark and Sarah, they found their way out. And so now on their second attempt to burn down the waxwork, they get in there and all the rituals have been performed. So all of the wax figures and everything start coming to life and start coming to attack them. And your favorite part of the movie, where Wilfred and a whole group of people come in with pitchforks and
like a big gang fight.
Yeah, torches, and it's one of the, what'd you say it was?
It was one of the worst movie fights I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, because remind you, Wilfred was a guy in a wheelchair, and he's just making his way through this wax museum with all these monsters around him, not getting hurt, nothing like that. The Marquis de Sade comes out, and he wants to get even with Mark and Sarah for getting away from him, so they go off into another room, and somehow Mark is holding his own against the Marquis de Sade in a sword fight, even though he's just some teenage kid who's probably never held a real sword before.
Well, no, they did good because you remember the bad guy kept taking the sword from him. He was just messing with him. He kept giving it back to him. And
he did, but he was still able to parry with him. It wasn't, it should have been like one shot, you're dead.
Yeah.
Luckily for him, Sarah shoots him in the back with a gun that she finds lying around. Kills him off. And now we're just stuck with the curator, who she shoots him as well.
Well, they both had a pistol, and I'll put that in my notes too. What in the world kind of guns were those? They weren't laser guns. They were shooting bullets, but they looked like laser guns from some futuristic movie. Maybe
they were from another scene that we didn't see.
Next time you watch it, take a look at them, because they didn't fit at all. They didn't? No.
Well, remember, it's a wax museum, so they have all kinds of different scenes. And I've been to wax museum. They had like the Alien movie and stuff like that in there. But they shoot him, and he falls into the pit of boiling wax. They have one 24 hours a day in the wax museum.
Is that that's where he pops up out of it, like Jason Voorhees?
Yeah, he pops up out of it and tries to grab Mark, and didn't take much. He might have just elbowed him in the face and knocked him down back and that was it. Until Wilfred's all up on this balcony. Sir Wilfred in his wheelchair, all celebrating. All of a sudden, the werewolf comes from behind and rips his head off.
Yeah,
and it was the dumbest kill scene I've ever seen, because he's grabbing his head and he's squeezing it, and Wilfred just says, "Oh my goodness!" and then pop, his head pops off.
There were a couple things that the bad guys did, or just in general, that stood out to me, and I think it was in the mummy scene where the mummy squishes the old man's head.
There's a lot of head
Steps
squishing in this
on it.
movie. One, yeah.
Well, he doesn't just step on it and squish it. He like wiggles his foot like he's putting out a cigarette.
Yeah.
And then in the big fight, you remember when they took the baby? You remember the baby and they
Like
threw
the
it up
demonic
in
baby?
the demonic
Yeah.
baby, and he throws it up into some kind of cage, and then he shoots it with a shotgun.
Yeah.
And then probably my favorite was when the vampire turns into the bat. And they catch it, and he holds it, and he shoots it right. Just shoots his head right off. Yeah,
that was the coolest one. The other one that I like, and they didn't show the scene, but they had a wax exhibit of the Little Shop of Horrors, and Sarah throws the little guy into the Seymour's mouth,
and
he
says,
eats
"Feed
him.
me,
Like, feed me."
feed me." That's right. Yeah, that stood out. That was a good one.
I don't remember how Lurch got killed. No, I do. You know, so Lurch was fighting this guy named Jenkins who didn't play much of a role except that he happened to be like Mark's butler, since Mark was a rich kid.
That's right.
And Jenkins was in on with Sir Wilfrid as well, and Jenkins saves Mark from somebody, one of the who knows what, might have been the other werewolf that was his friend. And then as he's all celebrating saving Mark, Lurch comes up from behind and stabs him, and then Mark kills him. That was. Yeah, because he was like, Jenkins, let me help you. He's like, it's too late for me, Mark. Just go on with your life.
You notice how the swords, they didn't penetrate very far. You
no,
know,
they didn't. They're like, doop. And so they end up burning down the waxwork. But the hand from the zombie world gets loose. And that's how the movie ends. With Mark and Sarah jumping in a cab and going away, and I think all of a sudden they're in love, right?
I don't remember. I don't remember if they were in love or not. I do remember them driving away in that cab because I think they used the same cab for all 3 shots that it was in.
Yeah, because the cab driver even asked him, "Man, quite a fire out there, right?" He's like, "Yes, it was a fire, and Sarah, we're gonna forget about it. Don't speak to anyone." Yeah, it was kind of over the top.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it.
If you're looking for a cheesy movie to watch on Halloween night with your kids that's kid friendly, that they'd probably maybe be afraid of, that's a good one.
Yeah. And that's why I like it so much, because it was, for sure, it was the first horror movie I ever saw, not with my parents. I saw it with y'all. And we might have watched it during the day. I don't know, because we watched it at your grandparents' house, and they had the big the big sliding door going to the backyard, and they always kept it open. And so anytime we'd spend the night there, it'd be 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. We're out there, and it's just the woods.
Yeah,
it was just a wooded area behind that day. And of course, we watch these movies, and I'd be scared because I'm younger than y'all, and of course, y'all would scare me. And
we were probably just scaring you, so we wouldn't be scared.
Probably
ourselves.
So, yeah. Just glad y'all never locked me out. If y'all had locked me out, well, first y'all my grandma would have killed y'all, so y'all wouldn't have done that. But y'all know that I'd have banged on that door and woken up the whole neighborhood. But it was a fun movie. I recommend it. I think I'll try to watch it every 5 to 10 years.
I will try not to watch it ever again in my life.
Come on, we got to watch it together. We should watch it together.
Let's do it. Let's do it. That's fine. I'll point out all these things that I was seeing in the background. The setting. What do they call it? The buildings, the doors, all that part.
Yeah.
It just looked very cheap. I mean, it looked like a low budget film to me.
Oh, it was. Yeah. That's why the only guy we knew was the guy from Gremlins.
Yeah.
And he wasn't even really anything back then.
But it was good. They did a good job.
So what's your score out of, I'm going to give it a letter grade or a number grade out of 10?
Out of 10, let's see. Oh, man. Just because it is kid friendly and it would be a good movie to watch with little kids, I give it a good 7.
Good 7?
Yeah.
I was going to say 6, but if you're going 7, I think I'll go 7.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's no profanity.
Yep.
No nudity. Not a lot of gore. If any gore, really. There's 4 or 5 heads being squished, but
yeah, that's about it.
Even then, they're comical. They're not grotesque in any way.
Probably the grossest thing in the movie is that steak tartare.
Well, the leg, yeah.
Yeah, the leg's pretty good.
Yeah. Which means that she ate her fiance's leg, huh?
Mm-hmm. That's what they fed her.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. I'll call it. It's my classic. Yeah.
It's very fitting for you, sir.
What would you rather watch?
Yeah, almost anything.
Nah. Well, what's one of your favorites?
One of my favorites, probably one of the best scary movies I've seen in a while. It's newer in the last 6 or 7 years, 5 years. Is Sinister. I really like Sinister.
I didn't see that.
Classic movies, The Shining and It are definitely my favorites. A couple of my favorites.
The original It?
Yes, the original.
Man, okay. So when the new It came out, I started watching that one that morning because it was on TV. Straight cheese, man. It doesn't hold up.
Which one? The new one or the old one?
No, I was going to go see the new one at the movies, and that morning, the old one was on TV. And the old one was cheesy.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I remember just being so scared of it. Like, I couldn't even watch anything related to it. And it was cheesy.
I still like that one, except for the end. The ending I don't like the ending, but everything leading up to the ending, I enjoy.
Yeah. And I think you had me watch Stir of Echoes a long time ago. That was a good one.
That is one I really enjoy.
Candyman was probably the last, supernatural horror movie that scared the crap out of me.
I don't even. Yeah, I know I watched it when I was younger, but I don't even remember it. I haven't watched it in years.
Because the last movie that really scared me was The Devil's Rejects.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a classic horror movie. It was like a serial killer type of movie.
Psycho family. Was that the first one or the second one?
It was House of Thousand Corpses was kind of the first one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Devil's Rejects was the other one, the next one.
Yeah, and we went and saw that during the day, and when I left the theater, I was so freaked out because it was we were talking to producer James before the episode. It was like real, something that could really happen in real life. People going around on a killing spree, and they were just so malicious and
they're just insane.
Yeah, they were. It was horrible. Yeah. All right, well, let's take a quick break. We'll come back, and I got a pretty good story about the two of us to tell. And welcome back to the Manticore Media Podcast. I'm Michael Navarro with my guest,
Tim Tolley.
All right. So I like to end the show with a story, and it usually relates to either the subject or the guest I have. You'd know that if you've ever watched any of my shows.
Yeah. I try to make them throw them.
Or at least listen. So this is one of my favorite stories. When we were younger, I had a whole bunch of Star Wars toys. A whole bunch of them. They're still boxed up in the closet at my house. I still have them somewhere in there. And we would get them. And so your grandfather worked for like a seal company, right? Like sealing pools and...
Yeah, it was like industrial cooling ponds and stuff like that.
Yeah, so he always had like these big rolls of like tarp material and stuff that we could, throw water and soap on and make our own little slip and slides. So one day we're out on the side of the house. And we've got this big, long, like 14-foot long tarp, and got it all lathered up and the water going, and it starts at one end. On the other end, we have a couple of wooden sawhorses at the end, and we've got big tarps covering them, and we got these Star Wars toys, and we're taking them, and we're running and pushing them down towards the end of the tarp and going in there underneath when we reach the end. And anytime that a car drove by, we drop everything and just haul butt and slide right under those sawhorses. And so any of y'all who know me knows that, especially at night, I was always paranoid about when cars would drive by. I always had it in my head like the Russian spies were going to come out or something. I don't even know. I don't know why. I was always paranoid. So you would think that the reason that we're freaking out is because it's, we're kids and cars are driving by. We're kind of freaked out about it. No, that's not the case. That's not why we were running and hiding underneath those sawhorses in the tarp. The reason we were doing that is because we were probably like 14, 15 years old, and we're outside running Star Wars toys down a makeshift slip and slide, and we don't want anybody we know to see us out there playing. And I don't even know, like, what was the point of the Star Wars toys? Because we were just running up and down.
I have no idea. It's just because you had the cool Star Wars toys and we were, kids, but we didn't think at that age we should be kids. So yeah, it was it's humiliating to talk about now. So thanks for bringing it up. I wish there was a tarp I could hide under right now.
You can hide behind the curtain. Let me rephrase that. I was probably like 12 or 13. He would have been like 14 or 15.
Yes, sir. That is a fact.
All right. So you got any last words? Give a shout out to anybody.
No, I don't like anybody I know. So other than you, man, I appreciate you having me on, and it was a new experience for me, and I had a good time.
Well, at least tell them to watch the show. Give me some viewings. Give me a like and a subscribe.
Oh yeah, no, they plan on watching it. They're thinking I'm gonna embarrass myself. So I hope I didn't do that.
Good. So for all of you watching, please give us a like, a view, and a subscribe on YouTube. You can search for us at the Manticore Media Podcast on YouTube. We need a few more subscribers before we can get our own unique address on YouTube. So any of y'all can help. I know he's got a lot of kids, so y'all should get me halfway there if at least half of y'all subscribe.
All right.
Check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/Manticore Media LLC. No spaces, no dots in between, just Manticore Media LLC. And you can check us out on Twitter at Manticore_media. My name is Michael Navarro. Thanks a lot for coming.
Yes, sir.
Tim Tolley. We'll see you next time.